Hey guys, so yeah, I think it's been a while since I've been on here, so yeah, so I don't know if you saw, but if you guys saw, but one of my last videos I took down because I felt like I was stuttering too much. So I'm remaking it. So yeah. And it's gonna be a heavy enough topic. So yeah. Well, kind of what I want to talk about is molestation and spiritual and religious abuse. Because I do not think God or Jesus or any of the angels. Yeah, I'm pretty sure none of them like this topic or even like seeing it done. So, but seriously, apparently humanity is so warped at this point that apparently people who do commit this kind of crimes, I don't know, I guess it's okay for humanity or something. Because the people who commit these crimes most of the time end up getting away with it. So, yeah. Are you a good dog, Maddox? Huh? You a good doggy? Look at the doggy. What are you looking at? What are you looking at? So, yeah, anyway. Yeah, because I guess I don't even know where to start with me. But, the first time it happened, or at least, and the reason I'm even telling this, or at least, and the reason I'm even telling this very publicly is because, hey, I mean, I can't speak to any other people who've been through trauma, but at least for me, I'm pretty sure, as someone who's been through trauma, everything else that is not trauma, is just seen or like everything else that's not trauma is just seen as I can handle this. Like I can handle this. So, yeah. If there are any younger people who are just dealing with other kind of life problems like bullying or hard times, yeah. Dude, as someone who's been through trauma, I feel like I want at least my platform to be a safe space for anyone else dealing with either trauma or just regular life stuff that we humans still have to go through for some reason. So, yeah. So, yeah, but, I can't remember the age I was when it first happened, but I think I was around 4 or 5. Like, I think I was around 4 or 5, like, first or second grade age. I was in that age. What? Okay, my dog just did a bunny hop into the snow. And he is burying his face in the snow. What? Maddox! What are you doing? What are you doing? Guys, I don't know if I can turn the camera and show you what the dog is doing, but... Maddox! Maddox, what are you doing? But, yeah. Anyway, I wish I just got that on camera. He bunny hopped again. It was cute. Maddox! Oh, birds. Maddox, what are you doing? And where are all the birds going? Where are all the birds going? Come to Mama. Come to Mama. Maddox, what are you doing? Well, anyway. Yeah, so when it first happened, I was in church. Literally in church of all places. In all places where it could have happened, it happened in a freaking church. So, yeah. I don't I don't remember exactly how it happened, but the church service, or at least the pastor that was doing the sermon at the time, just finished up with his little one-on-one time with the kids before they got sent off to their little children's church, which I don't know if any of you guys watching this know what that is, but at least for me, or at least for the way my church did things, and still does, it's basically, and I'm drawing a blank right now, but why can't I mean, I know what I want to say, but why can't I say it? Or find the words to say it. But it's basically like the adults' sermon in a kid-friendly way. And the kids are taken to a different room so that the actual sermon in the main room was, the kids' sermon can go on in another room. And then the kids would be brought back in around, or when they first started doing the offering. Or maybe it was when the offering was finishing up. I don't remember. Hang on, guys. My dog is digging. Maddox! Hey! Maddox! Come get food. Food? Do you want food? Get Mama. Get Mama. Mama some. Mama some. Come get Mama. Come on. Come on. Maddox. Come on. Come get Mama. Maddox. Come on. Go in the car. Go in the car. Sorry guys, I usually have to say something to get the dog to come back in. Otherwise he will not fucking do it. No, you won't. No, you won't. If we cannot work, Maddox, come here. If we cannot work on your recall outside, if we cannot get your recall better when you're outside, then I don't think you can be a service dog. No, you can't. But anyway. So I think it was around after the service, or when we were being let back in to go, or when we were getting let out of our little room that we were in for our little service. Yeah, I think this other little kid who was a little bit older than me told me that he had something to show me. So I said something like, okay. Because, you know, when you're a little kid, you think nothing of it. So I let him show me, and he pulled me into a back stairwell, and so I think I asked something like, what do you want to show me? And the boy said something like, I know how adults kiss, or something like that. And I didn't know what he was talking about, so I just said, okay, or something like that. And then he kissed me out of nowhere. And I didn't know what he was doing back then, because, again, I was a kid and so was he. So, you know, when you're a kid, you do not expect something like that to happen. Especially out of the blue, so. So after he kissed me, I think I said I think I must have said something. I don't really remember what happened between that and the next time he kissed me, because he kissed me again. But the second time, he put his tongue in my mouth. And at that point, I was seriously just freaked out, because, again, I wasn't expecting that. Plus, to a little kid, or at least to me, it felt really weird, especially that second one. And I can't remember. I can't remember exactly if it was during that second kiss or right after, but the boy put his hand. Yeah, the boy put his hand down my pants, and yeah, the boy put his hand down my pants, and I think the first time he just touched me over my underwear there, and I just remember that. I just remember that time just I just remember pushing or trying to push my hips and my legs and basically my lower body out away from his hand. And then he kept his hand there, but then he, I don't know, but then he then put his hand inside of my underwear and then put his finger or fingers, I can't remember if it was one or multiple, but I think he at least put one finger in me, and that time I did the same thing as I did before. I tried to move not even just my lower body at that point, but I just tried to move my entire self away from him at that point. And I think by that point, I just grabbed his hand, pulled it away, and then ran back into the sanctuary. Yeah, that was the word I was looking for earlier, sanctuary. So, yeah, at that point I just took his hand out of my pants and away from me, and then just ran back into the sanctuary to find my parents. We went for communion, and then I think I don't really remember much else from that night, but I do. Well, except getting into a car accident and getting yelled at, but you know what, But all of that stuff happened after service, but I'll get to that later. Or this in a little bit, but so I think we just went along for the rest of the service. And that night my parents, or so-called quote-unquote parents, decided to take 2 cars to the service, so I was riding with my mother at that point, and she had the idea to race my dad home and see who could get home first. So as we were driving, I think I remember feeling really anxious, like, what is she gonna say? Do I tell her? What is she going to say? Am I gonna get in trouble? And so I just told her so I finally spoke up and said something like, I don't remember what I said exactly, but I told her, or at least I think I told her something like, Mom, something just happened. And then obviously I told her what happened, and by the time I finished telling her what happened, she was at a stoplight. So she immediately just turned around and started screaming at me like, "Elizabeth Mary Mitchell, you do not let someone talk to you," or like, "You do not let someone talk to you like that, and you do not let someone touch you like that. You should know better than to let someone touch you like that." And by that point, I was even more scared than I already was. And because we were trying to raise and because she was trying to raise my dad home, for whatever reason, I still don't know why. Even back then, I thought it was strange that she wanted to raise him home. But she did for whatever reason. But anyway, it's like, he was 2 cars behind us. Like, he was in the same lane, but just 2 cars behind us. And in that time, he was driving a Mustang, and I guess some other guy was speeding coming down the hill and slammed right into his passenger side. Because the next thing I remember is Laura having to get out, my mother having, or my quote-unquote mother having to get out of the car and telling me to get out of the car too, and her talking to the cops and just red and blue flashing lights. And ever since then, I mean, they basically just dropped it at that point and never, well, I shouldn't say never, because I think the next day my mother got in contact with the boy's parents and dragged me over to their house and started like going off on the boy's guardians, while the boy was just standing there. I don't remember if the guy was crying or not, or if the boy was crying or not, but I felt really, really weird and awkward and like I don't want to be there. And then I don't remember if the boy apologized, but I do remember that I was forced, or I think I was forced to say something like, "It's okay, I forgive you," or something like that. And I didn't want to, and my so-called mother just kept getting more and more angry that I wouldn't forgive the boy. Because, I mean, dude, and a child shouldn't have to forgive forgive someone who literally just molested or possibly just raped them. So, yeah. But, I wanted to get out of there fast. I wanted to get out of there as soon as possible so I think I just said something like, it's okay. Like, it's okay, it's fine. And then we left. And I think she was pissed the entire way there and the entire way back. But more so pissed at me. Because I think she just went off on me that entire time. Both on the way there and on the way back. But after that confrontation, they just dropped it and didn't really do anything. But other than that, I was basically forced to go to church ever since. And after that incident, I didn't want to go to church ever again, but I was being forced to go. Even up to when I was 17. And when I kept making it very clear I didn't want to go, I was always guilt-tripped. Like, oh, we go to all of your school choir concerts, and you can't just go see your mother sing at a church or sing at a church service. And they both knew what went on. But I remember, like, the one time I was 17, again, I was forced to go, and I didn't want to go, and my supposed date, or my so-called father, he was trying to force me to go like usual, and I didn't want to go. So when he left the room, or when he left the living room / kitchen area, I told Mom I don't want to go, and she said, okay, you don't have to go. But then, of course, her being her, put on another guilt trip, like, but we go to all your choir concerts, so you should want to come to a church service with us. Or, I can't remember if she said that or something like, we come to all your choir concerts, so you can come with Dad to just one church service. But then she finished it off with, fine, but if you really don't want to come, you don't have to come, even though that's going to be breaking my heart or something, or some other kind of bullshit like that. And again, I didn't want to give in, so anyway, Mom left, and Jonathan, my supposed dad, was on my ass when it got closer to the time that we had to leave by. He kept getting on my ass more and more, like, go get dressed, you're coming with. And I kept telling him no, And he was just getting more and more frustrated, and I, at one point, told him, no, Mom told me I didn't have to come, so I'm not going. But he wasn't having it, so he basically outright forced me to go get dressed and come with him, because I don't know, he didn't care or something. So, long story short, he forced me to get dressed. He got me in the car, and he forced me to go to church. And he tried to and he got me Starbucks on the way to church too, kind of as like a bribe thing. Even though I didn't really care about the Starbucks at the time. I mean, at the time, I really loved Starbucks at the time. I still love it. I still love it to this day, but that day, I couldn't really care less. I was just more pissed that I had to go. Well, more pissed. And I was basically feeling a range of emotions. Like pissed, scared, anxious, nervous, all of that. And basically once we got there, I went down to the basement area where they had the senior high rooms for confirmation or whatever that Bible camp thing is for middle school and teenage students or kids, aged kids. I just knew there were rooms in the basement area where no one would be, so that's why. And I wanted to be alone, so that's why I went down there. And I think halfway through the service, I think it was halfway through the service, or not even halfway, but he came storming downstairs and into the room and basically just started yelling at me to come sit with him for the rest of the service, and I didn't want to. But again, he didn't give me any choice. He just grabbed my arm and forced me and basically dragged me back up there, and I was fighting him the whole way. So then he just slammed me down on one of the little chairs outside the sanctuary and went off on me, telling me that I was either going to go sit in the rest of the service with him and then go home, or I was gonna be forced to stay for the second service and then come home with Mom. So at that point, and he forced me to give him an answer. I tried staying silent, but he wouldn't have that either, and he forced me to give him an answer. So I just told him, fine, I'll stay for this service. So he went in he opened the door to go back into the sanctuary, and he again yelled at me to come inside with him. And I told him, no, I can listen to the service from out here, because at the time, the sanctuary was see-through, so I could kind of hear. I mean, like, I could definitely see the pastor that was speaking, but I could also kind of hear them too. So, no. So, no, I didn't want to go back in the sanctuary. And, so I just sat out there. And then he came and got me for communion. And then basically after the service, he forcibly grabbed my arm again, yanked me down the hall into one of the smaller practice rooms for the choir. And towards the middle of the practice room, there's a grand piano that would be facing where the choir stands. And the bench was the piano bench was facing the door when you walk in. So and Lloyd was or at least my mother or supposed mother was already out there waiting for him, and we were just walking together. And again, I was fighting his hold on my arm, but that just made him grab and pull harder. And he kept yelling at me the entire way to stop fighting him. And every time I would fight with him harder, because I didn't know why he was doing that, he would either punch or slap my arm, or he would slap me upside the back of my head and then yell at me to stop it. So long story short, we got to the choir room, or that choir practice room, and then he basically pushed me as hard as he could into the piano bench. Actually, no, into the piano, and I fell onto the bench. And I tried to get up, and and then again he yelled at me and told me to sit down, as as loud and as forceful as he could without drawing attention. So I did, and then he basically started going off on me. And on Lloyd too, or at least, well, yeah, he started going off on me and telling me and my mother that she is gonna stay for the second service and then go home with you, because she has no choice, because she decided to ditch the first service. And again, I told him, well, Mom told me this morning before she left that I didn't have to go, and then you forced me to go anyway. And I think she said or tried to say something like, John, I did tell her she didn't have to come to church today. And he cut her off right there and just said, I don't care. She is staying with you because she is being a very bad girl and choosing not to go to the service. And then he turned around and started going off on me for basically ditching the service. And long story short, I haven't really been to that church since I turned 18. Because up until I turned 18, I was still being guilt tripped to go. I mean, even after I turned 18, hell, even now, and I'm 23, they're still trying to guilt trip me and force me to go. Or at least, they're not doing it as much as they did when I was 17 or 18, but they still try and get me to come, and they still try and guilt trip me to come into coming here every once in a while. Or well, at least mostly my asshole abusive father does. And yeah, it's like I think the first time I went to church since the incident was 2 years ago, and well, maybe it was 2 or 3 years ago. But anyway, the last time I went to church, it was over Thanksgiving weekend, or Thanksgiving break. And we all, the entire family was in Michigan visiting my aunt and uncle. And I don't know why, but I felt like going to church with them because, I didn't want to go to church, but at the same time, if I didn't go with just those two, I would be home, or I would be at their house with my so-called parents, my sister and her kid. And I didn't want to do that, so I decided going to church with my aunt and uncle would be the less of two evils. But apparently that was a mistake, because seriously, I think the first song into the service, and I was trying so hard not to cry. I was just trying so hard not to cry, because the only thing I felt when that service started was nothing but shame. Seriously, I just felt nothing but shame. When that service started. And I think at one point, I raised my hands so aggressively over the top, or either over the top of my head or close to the top of my head. But I did it so aggressively as a way to, you know how people say you can feel the Holy Spirit in a room? Or if there's anyone who goes to church and who understands this, You know how they say you can feel the Holy Spirit fill the room? I think that's what I was feeling, and that just added to the shame and made the shame and guilt intensify even more. So I raised my hands really aggressively, and I outright said in my mind, to go away. I do not want you around me, or something like that. And I don't remember exactly, but I think it was that night that, and I'm sorry if there are people here who don't believe in God or Jesus, but you can call, and if you don't, you can call them what you want, the universe, or some other beings you believe, or if you don't believe in them, you can just ignore it, or ignore this part. But I think it was that night that I saw Jesus face to face for the first time. For the first time in a dream. Either that or I had a very strange dream where I felt some kind of presence, like some kind of loving presence, but it wasn't overwhelming. But I remember definitely once I got home, I saw him in a dream once where he went to, where it was just me and him in the room, and I went to walk away, and he just held out his hand like, come here, I will not bite. Like, I promise you, you're safe. And then I just ended up bawling tears. Like, literally just straight bawling tears into him. But yeah, it's like, and I haven't really gone back to church for a church service since. Except for, well, maybe twice. And those 2 times, well, actually, yeah, the first time was not good. Actually, no, like, anytime I've been to church since, and it's been maybe, 2 or 3 times, or like 2 or 3 times since that Thanksgiving. Actually, I can't even remember the last time I went to church. But long story short, I do not go to church anymore for that reason. And because I still feel shame. Hell, I'm pretty sure. and I'm trying to get spiritually awakened, and I guess connected to a higher power. Do I still believe in God and Jesus? Yes. But, I I think they are judging me so damn harshly. And it didn't help that ever since that night, whenever I'd be abused by my dad or a supposed dad, especially if he said something that really pissed me off, because abusers agitate you so much verbally and emotionally. So every time he agitated me enough, I would say like, oh my God, or something else, because you know how when you're a kid you imitate what your parents do and say, so they would always say stuff like, oh my God, or something like that. So whenever he would piss me off and agitate me and provoke me, I would say to him, oh my God. And I would say it really harshly. And, I was a kid who was imitating what I heard say or said a lot. So obviously I didn't know what that meant. I just thought it was a phrase that was used a lot. But whenever I would use that phrase, he would always come right back without skipping a beat. He would always come right back and say in the most serious voice he could, like, yes, I am. Or, you called me? And every time he said that, I knew he wasn't joking. And the older I got, he still kept doing it, and he still does it. And it just irritates me more and more now, but especially since I'm trying to rebuild a connection with God himself, it irritates me so much more now, because I actually know what that phrase is doing when people say it. Like, it's basically using his name in vain. And it just irritates me even more because Jonathan, who is my supposed father, and he's very verbally, emotionally, and physically, and quite possibly even sexually abusive. Basically, he's all around a very abusive person. And he basically equates himself to be God, basically. I mean, seriously. My mother, even recently, as in 3 or 4 months ago, and I still remember this because she said something like, oh Jesus, or Jesus Christ. And again, he said the same thing he would always say to me, like, yes, I am. Or like, quit calling me. And, I was just pissed and livid at that point, but didn't say anything. So basically now, I have grown up with a deep-rooted, in a way, I've grown up with a deep-rooted fear of God himself. Because, please, you cannot have an abuser who constantly equates himself to basically being God and being abusive and then basically be abusive and not expect and like apparently God is the authority figure of all authority figures and the father of all fathers. So yeah, long story short, I am scared of him, and I'm pretty sure I have a core belief of him that he is abusive too. And I still don't even know if to this day I have that fear or ingrained fear of him being abusive just because of my abusive asshole of a father. He basically always equates himself to be basically God, or if whenever he did do or say stuff like that, then they would say stuff about him being abusive. And that's where my fear comes from. But either way, yeah, I do have that fear of God being abusive. And him and his son judging me for literally everything I do and say. I'm pretty sure with making this video right now about the subject, I feel like they're judging me even now. Even now as I'm making this video. So, just for even making this video and basically talking to my phone. So, yeah. And I don't know if that will ever be a core wound that I fix or that I'm able to fully fix or heal myself. So, yeah. I mean, for crying out loud, I tried to do this one guided meditation where you would meet a bunch of angels or archangels, and they would, I don't know, I guess take you up to their angelic realm so that you could tap in to their realm better or more easily. And they would do that by taking your heart and lifting it up to that realm. Like, literally, when I tried to do that guided meditation, I mean, like, when I tried doing that guided meditation, I don't know if it's gonna sound weird, but right here is around here is where your third eye is. So I saw in my mind's eye that they did have their hands on my heart, but my heart was so covered in stone or some kind of stone or rock, and they were trying to chip away at it as they were bringing it up. And the moment they started doing that, and I literally could feel my soul drop. As if I actually just fell really quickly from a really big height. And 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 then I started crying. And I kept trying to push myself to keep going, but the more they kept chipping away, the worse it felt and the more painful it felt, to the point where I guess they just hit one spot, one magical spot, and I felt, not only did I feel my soul fall, but I felt, or at least I think I remember feeling my heart fall out of their hands back down into my body. Either that or my soul just pushed them away to where they dropped, my heart and it fell. But either way, whichever way it happened, and I'm pretty sure they know and remember how it happened, but either way it happened, my soul and my heart dropped, and then I basically got up, wiped the tears and the tear stains off my face, and I was triggered for the rest of the night, and I'm pretty sure and the next few days afterwards I was triggered too. And I had a little mini depressive episode. And apparently I found out the next time I went to get in contact with with an angel, yeah, apparently that experience not only hurt me, but it traumatized them too. So, okay. So then I felt even worse, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to traumatize you guys. You don't have to work with me anymore, especially because I don't want to drag you into my mess or my roller coaster of ups and downs. So, yeah. Long story short, if there's anyone who doesn't believe kids when they tell you or if a kid tells an adult something like this and the adult doesn't want to believe the kid, guess what, adults? Us kids cannot, or if a kid comes and tells you something like that happened to them, kids cannot in any way make this stuff up. They cannot. I mean, and they would not lie about this stuff either. I mean, unless there are some sort of family parental issues and one parent is trying to force and coach the kid to lie, then other than that being a reason, kids do not have the ability to make this kind of stuff up. So, yeah. And, I swear, I feel like I'm so messed up because of this and because of all the other abuse. So no. And I even, or at least, and since this memory has come back up, the only thought on my mind, or the thought on my mind since this came back, or since this memory came back, was this the start of all of these sexual abuse that I have experienced? Like, was this where it's all started? And is this the reason I've been sexually abused as much as I was? So, yeah. And again, I'm making this video to kind of be like, guys, if there's anyone, even younger people on here who watch my videos, like, if you are being bullied, I'm not saying it's bad or like it's less of an issue, because it definitely is an issue, but and this is just my experience, but I feel like if there's anyone who's dealing with issues like bullying or even abuse, I want my channel or my place to be a safe place where people can feel like they can talk about this kind of thing. Okay? So, yeah. I guess that's all I wanted to say, guys. So, yeah, bye.